Hi, welcome back to Krayden's Right, the channel where you can see every week, at least once a week, Stand on Guard with David Krayden. And I'm David Krayden, the host of this show. Got a great clip for you here, which illustrates the absolute insanity of bail in Canada. Now, in the United States, the people working against keeping prisoners in jail are calling it bail reform. In Canada, making sure prisoners don't have a revolving door at the jail is called bail reform. And here, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre outlines exactly what happens when prisoners are in the door one day and out the door the next. They have a chance and the tendency to commit more crimes. And this is exactly why all of Trudeau's laws are not working if criminals are getting out on the street the next day or even the next week.
Conservatives, ideally, there would be no discretion afforded to the justices of the peace to make any decision about whether to release someone who's been charged with a violent repeated offender.
A repeat violent offender, newly arrested for another serious violent offense, will have to serve their entire period in jail, not bail, and not early parole. That's common sense. Let's bring home safety.
The Supreme Court would approve that?
We should point out that the Supreme Court never disagreed with any of the policies of the previous Harper government that tightened up bail conditions. So none of the catch and release system was not brought in by the Supreme Court. It was brought in by Justin Trudeau.
When you talk about bail, the crime has already happened, or the alleged crime has already happened. So how can you attribute bail to this increase in crime and not, should there not be more supportive measures to prevent the crime in the first place?
Well,
You're talking about someone being on bail. They've already allegedly committed the crime. So where,
they're committing crimes on bail. That's the problem. The problem is, I'll give you an example. In Vancouver, the same 40 offenders were arrested 6,000 times in a year. That's 150 arrests per offender per year. Why? Because they're arrested in the morning, then they're released on bail by noon, they reoffend, they're back in jail by 2 in the afternoon, and then they're released by the evening so that they can commit their final crime before they go to bed.
It's a failure of the system to not support people who have committed crimes, gone to jail, served their sentence, and then they're committing another crime. So is this not a failure of things like social services and support for people who have committed crimes?
Are you serious?
I'm asking you a
No,
question.
I mean, are you serious? Come on. You're telling me, no, excuse me, let me answer your question. Are you honestly saying that it's society's fault if a repeat violent offender commits 60 or 70 offenses? I think that criminal is to blame for his own actions. He is personally responsible. We're not talking about some kid who made one mistake when he was 19. We're talking about people who do 60, 70 violent offenses.
Why do those people
and then they're,
offenses?
because they're criminals.
But why are they criminals?
Because they do crime.
And why do they do crime?
Because we let them out early on bail.
So because they
I think we've
let
solved
out,
the riddle here.
because they got let out early on bail.
That's right.
They then commit the crime.
That's right.
So
That's what all the experts agree is the cause of the crime.
So had they stayed in jail the whole time, on bail, in jail, not on bail as you say, they would then not commit crimes?
Because they'd be in jail, so they couldn't commit crimes.
And when they get out at the end of their sentence, they're crime-free?
Well, we can't guarantee that, but what we can guarantee is the period when they're behind bars, they will not be able to do crime.
But you seriously don't think that there's got to be some help with homelessness, mental health, things like that? There's got to be some other thing than just locking people up.
First of all, what I'm proposing would ultimately lead to less people being locked up. During the previous Conservative government, the incarceration levels went down because we targeted the repeat violent offenders with stiffer jail penalties. Now, and we gave rehabilitation to a young person who made a mistake and get them fixed up and back out into a good life. That makes sense. But we're talking here. Do you know, here's the good news. We have very few criminals in Canada. It's a tiny minority. Like I said, in Vancouver, if you took those 40 offenders off the street, you'd have 6,000 fewer people hit over the head with a baseball bat or stabbed at a transit station. It's just 40 people. So take the worst, most chronic reoffenders, put them behind bars. Is there homelessness? Yes. Trudeau has caused housing costs to double. Naturally, because of the misery that his woke economic policies have caused people, particularly the poorest people, there's more homelessness, there's more mental health breakdown, there's more misery than ever before. People are asking for help with medical assistance and dying because they can't afford the cost of food. That is what you're going to get when you increase the cost of government and you drive up inflation, taxes, and interest rates. It's also what you're going to get when you legalize crack, heroin, and cocaine, as Trudeau and the NDP have done in BC, and it's exactly what you're going to get when you use tax dollars to give out free, hard drugs to addicts. All of this has caused the phenomenon of everything being broken after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. My common sense plan will bring down inflation and housing prices by capping the cost of government, removing the gatekeepers to build homes people can afford, and by putting the most serious violent offenders in jail. And we're going to ban hard drugs and stop giving out tax-free narcotics, instead give people treatment.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
One of the issues with the justice system currently is that people are waiting too long for trial.
Yeah.
And we're seeing trials cut out. If you think about sort of your measure to keep people in jail awaiting trial, it seems that that's opening a door for more pressure on the justice system because the principles will come into effect that they've been in jail too long. So I wonder if you could talk about the justice side equation of that.
Yes.
and how you think that needs fixing as a result.
So this is a good question because it is not fair to the accused or the victim to have a trial delayed too long. So what's the solution? Why is our system so gummed up?
What next?
It's because the same tiny minority of repeat offenders keep getting charged again and again and again and again and again with more and more crime. Why? Because we're releasing them within hours of their arrest so they can go and reoffend. So if you bring in jail and not bail for repeat violent offenders, then they would not have the chance to go and reoffend and commit that other dozen crimes, and you'd have a dozen fewer trials you'd have to run them through. Less crime, a more efficient justice system. It's common sense. Let's bring it home.
So I think this is a great exchange with Poilievre really giving it to the Liberals on this issue. I hope you're enjoying this channel as much as I enjoy putting the material on here. This is not just about politics. I sing some of my favorite songs from the Great American Songbook. And you can also watch my latest show where we do some of the news you're not going to hear anywhere else. But please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. If you want to be part of this station, please be a subscriber. We want you.